Hey everybody, we are here at Disney Interactive's press event in Los Angeles, and we are about to check out Spectrobes, well actually the sequel to Spectrobes, and I'm standing here with Tim Fitzrandolph, who's producer on the game. So for those of us that aren't familiar with Spectrobes, what is the game and where does this fit into like this new series that you guys are creating?
Okay, so the new game is Spectrobes Beyond the Portals. It's a continuation of Spectrobes, which is a sci-fi action role-playing game which involves collecting, excavating, awakening, and battling Spectrobes creatures. So they're the main creatures in our game. The Spectrobes in the game world are kind of like the dinosaurs to us. They're this extinct species of creatures that everyone's seen in a museum, but no one's ever seen alive. And our main character, Roland, who's a member of the police force, is a special person. He's a Spectrobes master, and his voice allows him to awaken these fossils and bring them to life. So that's what you do in the game. You excavate up fossils of these ancient Spectrobes, bring them back to life, level them up, and battle the invading enemies.
Alright, and so this is the same character that we have seen in the previous game, yeah?
Right, so Spectrobes Beyond the Portals picks up where Spectrobes left off. So the Crawl, the enemies in the first game, their invasion was sort of defeated, and wouldn't you know, they've come back, but this time there's some shady characters behind the scenes apparently controlling them. So we've got a brand new story that continues where the first one left off.
Alright, now I'm sure you guys are doing more than just doing a sequel to the story. I'm sure you're doing a sequel to gameplay. So what's new and exciting in this year's version of Spectrobes?
Well, we've done a lot of research with the fans of the game and really taken our time to make sure we're making improvements across the whole game. So the first thing you'll notice when you see me walking around here in the game is our new camera. The game is now a more traditional full third-person camera. So the bottom screen is your view into the game world, and your character Roland and the Spectrobe that follows you around are fully 3D. And the camera, like I said, is over-the-shoulder camera, which gives you a much better view of the world and lets you see where you're headed more clearly. It also, since we're focusing on just one screen, allowed us to really improve the quality of the graphics in the game. So we're really at a level, I think, that you see not in too many DS products. Also, that gave us the top screen to give you information that previously you had to jump into menus to find. So now we've got a map, so at a moment's glance you can tell where you are in relationship to the world. You can also see which Spectrobes you have in your battle set, so if you go into a battle you know which ones are coming up, well, their health, all that information is at a glance. So before you'd have to dive into a menu and dig that information out, now it's right there. Also, the real big change to the game is our battle system. So we now have seamless battles. So you'll see here I just walked into a field populated by vortexes, which you may recognize from the first game. And vortexes still function like they did in the first game, where if I touch a vortex, I go into a battle and I fight with my Spectrobes. But now what we have is these vortexes are constantly spawning small enemies all right directly on the field, which I can seamlessly fight with Roland. So Roland now has enemies that were sort of tailor-made for him. So Roland will have a much more meaningful path for leveling up than he did in the previous game. And you can defeat these enemies on the field to replenish your health and that of your Spectrobes. Then when you go into a vortex, you go into a Spectrobes battle. So now Roland is no longer in the Spectrobes battles, and I'm actually directly controlling a Spectrobe, which brings up the pace of the action and makes it more action-focused as compared to the previous game. It also means that rather than just commanding your Spectrobes, you get to physically control them. So you're always controlling one Spectrobe, the other one is AI controlled, and with the touch of the X button you can swap which Spectrobe you're controlling. Every Spectrobe has a variety of attacks, and all Spectrobes have different properties which control the power relationship between them and the enemies. So you have to choose the right Spectrobes depending on which enemies you're fighting. Of course, they have regular attacks, charge attacks, and we also have combination attacks, which are different depending on the two Spectrobes you've chosen to battle with.
Now, you mentioned you were excavating and reviving them and, you know, basically collecting them all. So how many are in the game? How many are from the previous game? And, you know, how can you trade them with friends and whatnot?
So the first game had a pretty good selection. I think we had well over 50 Spectrobes in the game. We have double the number this time. So all the Spectrobes from the first game are back, and then that whole number again of brand new Spectrobes with lots of cool new designs and different battle types. The excavation system, which you mentioned, has also been improved upon. It was very successful. It's still based entirely on the touchscreen and still very intuitive, but now we have more variety. So depending on the locations you are in the world, you might experience excavation that takes place underwater or surrounded by lava that you have to use new tools and new techniques to excavate, so it's not just the same thing over and over again. And then you mentioned trading. We do have lots of wireless features actually, so We have local multiplayer, so you can battle one-on-one, or 4 players if you want to make teams. And we also have a Battle Royale mode, so 4 players all pick one Spectrobe and fight, and the last one surviving wins, which is a really cool mode. And of course, you can trade your Spectrobes as well, so you can hook up wirelessly, trade Spectrobes right back and forth quite simply. And also, I should mention that we have finally online multiplayer as well for the first time.
Very cool. And so when is this game coming out on what platforms?
The Spectrobes is designed solely for the Nintendo DS, and it will be out October 7th.
There you go. That is it for Spectrobes. We'll be having a lot more on it around E3, so check